here. I don't think you normally can get it. There we go. We'll put that there. That can go there. I'm going to do my best to continue with the topic of Consolidate. I changed my environment. Got permission to change my environment. We're going to smudge through here, had a late lunch, and in this theme, let's see, there's, okay, hold on. Let me get both feet on the ground, get myself grounded. I'll just open up the space again, so if you do jump on here, feel free to ask questions if you want. I'm going to do my best to watch all the comments. I'm just going to kind of dive in. Consolidate, concentrate, just be you. Patience pays, wait, good things will come. Consolidate, concentrate, just be you. This is a mantra that came to me through Kundalini, I don't know, 10, 15, something like that years ago, and it's absolutely stuck with me, and it's just like, wait. I don't want to wait anymore, and I'm tired of waiting. But I feel like it's a matter of flow, purpose, divine timing, being open to things being different than one could have expected, other than things could have been expected, and in the realm of transformation, if we're talking about consolidation, I did take notes, because I came back to what? Condensing and combining, through condensing and then combining, if we're looking to definitions, right? Consolidate, to make something, and then condense also is to make something. Make something physically stronger or more solid. Make something dense or more concentrated, more compact. So again, the planets came up. Condensed balls of energy. Consolidate, reinforce, or strengthen. Ooh, YouTube is a weird one, isn't it? Okay. We're going to clear that one out too. Reinforce or strengthen, consolidating, concentrating. Let's start here. So if we're going to consolidate and concentrate, we're going to look at these hidden dynamics. Maybe that's a word for it. Unconscious dynamics, because if we're talking about transformation, we're talking about alchemical reactions. Let's start there. Let's take it for the notes, right? We call this catalyst. I am a catalyst for solutions. If you're looking for solutions in the aspect of transformation, then you're talking about conditions and the conditions that you're in. I'll look at this one. I did put the cards back in, and I haven't really shuffled them up. I'm going to maybe shuffle through this one. There are a couple on top still. No, they are still here on top, because I didn't talk about this one either. So I'll look at our 3 of Peppermills and our 8 of Peppermills in this transformation in consolidation land, because in my own realm, things are consolidating and compacting and condensing, right? Like, get to the point. But we're also in a period, in a point, or I want to call it a station of waiting, because it feels stationary, and I feel like I'm surrounded by stationary, writing, waiting, sending messages out. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be clear yet, because solutions often take time. And then the world came through, and the other one, and the noise of the world, and the conflicts of the world, and these dynamics, I guess, that are preventing our choices from unfolding perhaps in the way that we want them to. Lots of peppermills. Let's look at Alice in Wonderland. I have Tarot and Oracle. We're just jumping on to this one. And the grind, right? Going to the grind, being objectified, objectifying, looking at the objective answers. It's just it, right? How to get beyond the object, to look beyond the veil as we get to a point, or we get to an action of purpose. Let's say that. Because it feels purpose-driven, discovery of a new way, a stability in job performance and abilities, broad knowledge of the world, the thrill of negotiation and trade. Looking for new solutions. It's just a matter of looking beyond the veil. If it's systemic, right, or if we're talking about the psychosocial dynamics of how these things come together, then what is the aid in this? Let's see, peppermills themselves correspond to wands, right, or clubs. Has themes of good intentions and good friends. It is also the suit of battle against very long odds and very heavy burdens. It is not necessarily a suit of violence. Though I think people want to find conflict in situations, or they jump to defenses, or they get to these assumptions, maybe, or they begin to make judgments. They begin to make judgments about other people's situations. But if we're talking again about this Cheshire aspect, then things aren't necessarily what they perceive themselves to be, or how they portray themselves to be. So check your perceptions, or look to other people's perceptions too for more objectified answers to things. I'm going to smudge it out a little bit more. I do have Sage. If you need some, contact me. And it is later in the day too, so I feel like people are kind of pushed to the grind at this point, and it's Wednesday, so it's the middle of the week, and it makes sense that things are more focused on getting through. Let's go back to condense, because if we're talking about condense and the definition of condense and putting things together, express in fewer words, or to make concise. Doing my best to use pictures, not get too heady. Again, this is a kind of contemplative container this morning. So concentration, right? So you can mix concentrations or dilute concentrations later to be more receptive to it, or to consume it later. How about that? Change, or cause to change. From a gas to a vapor to a liquid. Liquefying again in with the flow for new solutions. But being able to be adaptive and being able to look beyond the veil to the wisdom of things. Trying to show you something here. There's a wish I could just pull the pictures out of my brain and like project it directly from my brain out, and kind of skip this synthesizing aspect. It almost feels like a desynthesizing too. Something to come back to, maybe. Let's look at these 8 pepper mills. Swift activity, a sudden progress or movement, hasty movements, advancement too quick for easy assimilation. So that's being able to come back to it later. But slowing things down in order to speed things up. Maybe that's a similar theme to... Okay, things are pretty noisy at this point. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's where this one comes into play, where we have to put on multiple hats almost in order to make a directive and put things forward. But even this one came up earlier too. I kind of want to just shuffle them all up again. I almost want to get out of this deck altogether because it feels contrived. Or confiscated might be a better way of putting it. Yeah. If I go back to the Oracle and what's on top of here, then we're looking at the right way. We were talking about who in the world are you, right? Getting to know your future self and what all of that is. But what is the right way? Maybe I'll look into the Oracle. If we come back to this deck, we come back to it, but I don't know that we will. I feel like if we continue to go further down this rabbit hole today, things are going to get lost and taken out of context, is what that one feels like. I think it's interesting in this realm of AI and synthesizing and voice synthesizing that the voice can be reconstructed in a lot of different ways. Through film and media, and so the virility or the reliability of it all isn't necessarily what should be condoned. It's a lot of con words. And this pretense of even like condemnation. I want to say the word. But if you're doing something new and you're doing something innovative and you're trying to break out of the system or even hold something accountable to make a change and make something different, there's going to be resistance. And so I think it's interesting maybe in this realm where of like viva la resistance, it seems contradictory because there's resistance, like this, like the structure is already the resistance and it's resisting our natural inclinations to live a certain way. Because everything is so contrived. It's just handed to you. Maybe I'll come back to this one. Let's look at the right way. Learning to create what you desire. Because that's what the transformation is. If you're going to do something consciously or to create consciously or cultivate conscious co-creative communities and culture and all this and that. There has to be, I don't want to call it some form of pretense or performance or a the channel. It's the channeling, and it always comes back to source, starting back at source, the right way, starting back at source. And that's why we keep coming back to this container, we keep coming back to this space, doing things this way, because it's accessing source in order to find the solutions. And it's this like inverted backward sort of thing of coming to a solution through a catalyst, but out of conditioning. She's rolling her eyes. I'm rolling my eyes too, don't worry. It's fine. It's a reflective space. It's a collective space. How am I to get in? Asked Alice again in a louder tone. Are you to get in at all? Said the footman. Did this one come through in one of the last ones too? Are you even to get in? Are you even to participate in something? Like, that's why you can't fight a system and try to bring it down from the inside out. That doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you participate? And so much of it is relying and dependent on participation. So if you don't participate in it, it can't exist. But it's reliant on the party. The party system. It can be applied to financial things, it can be applied to political things, it could be applied to literal things. It's not specific. But I think it's important to take apart the words and to understand the words and the etymology of the words. And I did an interview in one of my radio shows a number of years ago when it was Cultivating Consciousness through Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com. You can go through the archives, it's there somewhere. I've got it on one of these channels somewhere too. I've been working on trying to upload and reload all of those things, but it's time consuming, and none of this stuff pays me anything. So it happens when it happens. And I can get to it, right? And it does in indirect ways, and sometimes very well, directly too, but there's a relationship there with money maybe that we can, or like worth that we can get into at some point, but I don't know that this one is not the right container for that. We're talking about consolidating, concentrating. Consent is kind of worked into there too, so there has to be, again, the permission to bring these things together, because for making something physically stronger or more solid, reinforcing and strengthening, combining a number of things into a single, more effective or coherent whole, it's the integrating process and the integral process. So it takes time to figure out where things align and where things don't align, and what works and what doesn't work. It's learning to create what you desire, but it's the learning process. It's the active part, perhaps, and the waiting is where it's learning to learn. I saw something interesting the other day that had something to do with Alzheimer's being autoimmune related. Maybe I'll come back to that at some point. Let's just keep reading. Hopping sometimes. But the immune system and the poisons too, like, don't drink the poisons and consume the things, because all of these things are detaching us and cutting us off from the source and where we're supposed to find the answers and find the solutions to things. It's an energetic thing. It's an alchemical energetic thing. It's not a literal thing necessarily that we can put words to. You have to do the work. It's not a pre-anything. It's an in-the-moment thing. Otherwise, it's in the realm of anxiety, or it's in the realm of depression. But being in that present time and doing the work is probably the most difficult aspect of it. So what is the right way? The frog footman really does not like to get to the heart of things, because you have to feel the feelings, and feelings have to do with emotions and electricity, but you can't really trust your feelings. You have to find objective ways of experiencing your emotions and being able to detach without being disassociated or disconnected. The inverting of the processes, right? The inverting of the meaning of the words, maybe changing the meaning of the words or simplifying the meaning of the word. It's as simple as if you, especially with nouns, it feels like it works really well. If you picture an elephant, what does that look like? What meanings and associations and pictures come to mind? Write all those things down. And it's interesting to see where your mind can wander off of a simple prompt that has absolutely nothing to do with anything at all. When we're pondering how to make a life dream happen, or how we are to get in, through, or to the other side, or whatever issue is facing us, we might wonder if we are meant to get in at all. Sometimes you have to put the problem down and go do something else in order to find the solution, because if you're actively looking at it, then it's not going to come forward. To put it in that passive receptive container, right? Or like brainstorming. It's my mind's not in behavior mode at the moment. It's the object transference. So if you look at the function of an object, right, and you begin to look at that function beyond its initial condition of that function, like a pencil doesn't have to just be a pencil. It can be a number of things. The way we relate to it, how we function with it, is very determinant upon the conditions that we put in the environment, right? It can be anything from firewood to a pointer to an extension of energy channeling, right? Like your fingers and such. Let's keep going, because we are learning to create what we are desiring. It's transforming, and we want to transform because we desire something else. We want to create something different because we are pro-creative in our nature. We are adaptive to change if we are at all any good to evolve, like for evolution, right? Everything is always constantly in motion. But we want to hold on to things. We can spend a great deal of time pondering our destiny, wondering if something is meant for us, and sometimes giving it up to fate, proclaiming if it is meant to be, it is meant to be. Alice has a different approach. She doesn't ask if it's meant to be, she asks how it will be done. This practical approach may not seem so spiritual to some. Are we not meant to go with the flow and see where life takes us? And just take the judgment out of it, the words and the meaning. Everybody will say, ooh, is this good? Is this bad? Is this right? Is this wrong? Sometimes it's not right or wrong. It's an opportunity that's requesting of you a conscious connection so that it can channel in some energy into you, and when you're pushed or moved to do something with an ethical reason, watch your ideologies. And again, these motivational drivings, what is reinforcing you? What is your ideology? What is coercing you in this situation? Especially look to what is coercing you and motivating your behavior. Because you might think you have a choice, or you're making a choice in something, but your choices are very motivated by these underlying energetic factors that are pushing and trying to get you to move you in a certain direction, to influence you. And a lot of people aren't attuned to what that is. Here, Alice knows what must be done and sets out to discover how to achieve it. When this card comes to you, this is just what you must do. When there's a will, there's a way. That's why we're consolidating to concentrate. I believe concentrate is in the definition here of condense even. Make something dense or more concentrated, right? So if you're going to make something more concentrated, it is condensed. It's solid, it's physical, it's strong, it's something... I wonder if the coherence part of it, because frequencies can move in energetic coherences too, or for to be coherent. We're talking about maybe a level of awareness or something there. You just got to figure it out. You have to figure out the innovative approach. If at first you don't succeed, try and try and try and try again and again and again and again and again until there's a solution, until there's something. We have everything we need at our disposal to figure out, to reach a solution. It's just how we arrange and rearrange and organize these particles and these molecules and these very minute details. Do not wonder if something is meant for you, nor leave it in the hands of the gods. Instead, think of how it can be done. What practical steps can you take? How can you approach the problem in order to solve it? What action can be taken and what advice can you seek? There is always a way through to the other side, but passively waiting and waiting and waiting for it to simply swing open is not as powerful as actively figuring out the puzzle and discovering how you are to reach the other side. So ask questions, seek advice, look again from a different angle, think of the how. There was something in the CIA video thing that I was watching earlier that is making me think of like this doors and window thing. Especially when you're trying to get through to the other side or trying to get to what's hidden, maybe what is kept from you, because whatever it is, it feels like it's secret because it's unconscious or it's below surface value. Like you gotta look and feel really, really, really deep to get to the answer. And that's where people choke or need to come up for air. But it's a deep dive. Like I don't think anybody's ever reached the bottom, right? So to speak. Or they have, but from a definitely different state of consciousness. Has to do with physical condensing and pressures, right? With beyond the systems. More along the lines, like if you open the door to try to get through to the other side, you're going to be met with either a lot of resistance or just like a bombardment or an overwhelming amount of information and energy, maybe more so than you can handle or whatever's on the other side can handle. Very exposing. However, if you are to open the window or create a window of opportunity, it's hinting at or suggesting at something that is open-ended, so that in that co-mingling space, co-creative space, the other person has an opportunity to go into that window or to open that window to further imbibe the opportunity if it is so relevant. like planting seeds or something, I suppose, wanting to get through to the other side of a situation, a desire to walk through a gateway, a life transition, to become an insider rather than remaining on the periphery. I really like this this concept of inner standing versus understanding. Right? I mean, there's an understanding, and you can get beneath something, but the inner standing, if you can withstand even something kind of from that inside out, and that feels like a feeling narrative, but the objectified people get so attached to their feelings, like objectified the feeling. It's just a feeling, it's just a sensation. You can talk about feelings without getting so upset and butthurt over something. Like, objectify the feeling. It's just a feeling. It's an energetic. It's a sensation, and it exists. Acknowledge it. Talk about it. Express it. Feel it. Experience that frequency, that color, that vibration, that spectrum. Otherwise, it becomes very stagnated, and it becomes very minute, and it becomes very much the box and the box structures. And I've been especially when it comes to creating homes and architecture and ancient structures. They're all peaks and pyramids. There's these very intricate, energetic channels, or there's like a again that channeling and that connecting to an energetic source, and in order to harmonize with the environment. But we've cut off the harmonics from the environment and have put everything inside of a box, and have compartmentalized things into a very limited geometry, which inhibits the frequencies that keeps people from tapping into these creative possibilities and these creative potentials, right? And so they have these very limited understandings of what their inner standing can possibly be. Let's look at the oracle and what that can be, because I think that is a good transition into this space, and maybe we'll kind of ease our way out, because I think with the last video and this video together, they'd be about an hour, around like hour and a half. Okay, we'll start here. We're going to start with Grayson Perry. I've got a couple different channels kind of pulling in this way. Again, consolidating in my life and kind of experimenting, innovating in my own way to see what works for me, for you. Scratch up the surface until your fingers bleed. Like, get beyond that superficiality. Get beyond the surface. This isn't speaking of like the function of the pencil, right? It's not a solid table. It's a table with moving particles that are not touching. I mean, the atoms and the molecules, it's not solid. The only reason why the table feels solid is because we have concentrated collectively on this materializing and being condensed, right? Being combined, all of our combined projections and perceptions, condensing and consolidating the trees that make the wood, that make the table, right? In the realm of the Qigongs, right? You can, with your mind power, because nothing is separate, where all these moving particles, right, vibrate the pencil to get it to go through the table based off belief systems, and all of us are like, no. And it like the amount of concentration to get it to focus to. But hearing the stories and being a person that gets the pennies to stick to the wall and the quarters to stick to the ceiling and bends the spoons, knowing what is possible is a tricky place to be. Meaning separates art from craft. The meaning. Craft falls into the realm of that craft food kind of things, or into the witchcraft, into the, how do I want to put them? Those with the malicious intents, right, that want to create dissonance and disharmonies and disconnects, the crafts. I would wonder too if a lot of the art falls into the realm of craft in regards to it trying to manipulate people. Probably for monetary gains or something, but I mean, it goes beyond that, because we go, oh, I want to do one of these about money. Another time. Try something new, the old-fashioned way. So again, taking the resources that we have and upcycling them and doing things in a way that is innovative, using the things around you to create solutions to maybe seemingly meaningless problems even. Look right under here. Let's look a little bit more at what Grayson Perry has to say about us too. You can pull one more out of here if you would like. Maybe one or two more out of this one. Otherwise, we're just going to be on here all day. Let's see, Grayson Perry, where are you? I will find you. Grayson Perry's not really an artist I'm very familiar with. In 2003, Grayson Perry accepted the Turner Prize dressed as his female second self, yes, Claire, and congratulated the Electoral Committee on finally recognizing in his works a transvestite potter. The potter part is the tougher sell in the art world, where craft is often the backup dancer to concept. Working in deceptively traditional media, such as ceramics and textiles, Perry uses techniques such as sgraffito and photographic transfers to address contemporary subjects, including global and domestic violence, environmental emergency, his own troubled childhood, ugly politics, and all that sex stuff. His marriage to psychotherapist Filippo Perry is probably more boring than it sounds. Interesting. Things aren't what they seem. You see? You can take the things as they are, albeit a toaster, and you can attribute new meaning to it. It makes me think of the video of the guy on the little, what is it? Was he on, like, a little moped or something like that? And he's got his head in a microwave, right? Like it's a helmet, and he, like, drives up, and then, like, the microwave door swings open, and then he spouts his wisdoms, right? It's brilliant. And then drives off, and it's, it makes you think. I mean, what is going to catch your attention anymore these days? What is going to catch people's attention? How do you get them to, I don't want to use the word wake up. What's going to give it the wrong connotation? But again, I mean, people are either going to want to be uncomfortable or they're not. More people than not want to just be comfortable, and they want to be made comfortable, and then so they're just going to stay in their comfort level, and that's fine. Let them be comfortable. But for those of us who don't mind being uncomfortable, or who are comfortable in discomfort or whatever, or who for whatever reason create discomfort around others despite our own comfort, we'll do this one. Diane Arbus. Because I think there was something to the first portion of this, the first part of this, and something, that little tidbit about the CIA, or like these like 3 levels of public self, social self, and then, or like private self, and then like the secret self, right? But as above, so below, micro, macro, there's these like public psychosocial dynamics, there's these personal psychosocial dynamics where a social group will interact with you differently than it will somebody else just based off the individual dynamics. Whereas the first one is just like the public presentation or how it is presented. And then there's the secret psychosocial dynamics where maybe we get into the who is controlling of the many, or I even want to call it corporation, or the incorporated. So those individuals who give up their individual identity to an entity outside of themselves individually, and then together they feed the entity or create the identity or the energy of the entity or become the energy of the identity that represents a specific cohort or collective of people. It's an ages old, like, you know, you get like the one leader of the masses, or like the one that the people follow, or there's like the hierarchies, again in energetic dynamics. I mean, you see it in structures too, how even things are concentrated at one point, right, to how do I put it in a way that's I like the compacted, to where it's so dense, like dark matter, so heavy, like it's so weighted, right? It becomes the opposite of light. It's not like dark is the opposite of light, but that heavy weight is the opposite of light. That sensation and the feeling, because light, as it relates to light, dark, as we would perceive with our eyeballs, we're talking about the visual system and the visual perception, which is only one of our senses. But that one sense aligns with all of our other senses, our hearing, our taste, smell, to create a feeling inside of the meat suit, inside the visceral body. And so that feeling is that condensed energy. And that feeling can be heavy or it can be light. We can attribute colors to it, and we can place those in the chakras if we would like. But we're talking about the feeling, not what it would look like. Right? We're not trying to see it. We're trying to understand it. We're trying to sense it from an inside feeling. We're trying to take the visual that we see. Is it attributed to the sounds we associate to it through the words, the vibration? The sound becomes the thing. We speak things into reality. So if we put a picture to the thing before we put the feeling to it, then we get stuck in this matrix aspect. Right? So then if we can sense the feeling without attributing some sort of picture to it, right? Then we can begin to hear or connect to the source, or we can begin to go the other way. The fish swims the water. The picture in the world outside of us just naturally shifts and aligns. It comes into our perception of the world around us is in alignment with that inner feeling perception, not with what our thoughts think and portray. So you have to close it all off and shut it, and then go about it the other way. So look directly at whatever you're avoiding. That's what Diane here is telling us, Diane Arbus. Look directly at whatever you're avoiding. Ooh, Louise Borges. There's like a spider above your head. Ah, like, look at it. Feel it. Acknowledge it. I want to avoid that discomfort. Oh no, something's going to make me uncomfortable. Oh no, somebody's going to point out something that's going to bring me into the state of reality, and all of a sudden I'm taken out of my dreamland where I'm in control of everything and everything feels good and feels nice. Oh no. The bullseye is always in the margins. It's outside of the box. We're trying to get out of the box, and people are like, no, leave me in the box. I don't want out of the cage. Keep me in here. It's safe, and it's comfortable, and it's predictable, and I'm in control of things, and I know when things are going to happen, and I can disconnect, and I can be unconscious. I can just have the one feeling of good, and I can maintain this picture and this world around me despite anything outside of that box, despite other people's boxes, right? We forget other people even exist. How many people don't even talk to their neighbors because they're inside of these boxes that are purposely cutting off their frequencies, and then they're infiltrating them with all these other external frequencies, and they're just cutting off source, and they're claiming I go to church and I talk to God and I know source, but they're so disconnected they can't even make eye contact with their neighbors. Listen when a city tells its secrets. Oh, I saw a good documentary, Dregs of the City, and it's talking about the homeless and the drug addicts of Reno, and from their perspective. And it's interesting being in a psychosocial dynamic in a group environment, whether it's a business, whether it's a city, mostly the city. I get to be in this city that is transforming, it's growing, it's adapting, it's radically growing. I mean, just the rate in which this place is multiplying is unbelievable. And it's it's sold as something so beautiful and so wonderful and so amazing, and people come here for all these amazing reasons, and then there's this complete opposite underbelly side of things where things aren't working and people are suffering, and it's not supporting the whole. It's concentrated on a very localized individual, or localized individuals or specific groups, or it's like so many others, right? When presented and given this opportunity to do something in an innovative way, and you don't, you think you're bringing in something new to do something, to make a change, but that's the way it's always been done. That's the way the system works. That's how it. So why are you not going back to the traditional things that have worked and bringing those in and integrating these aspects from the past that have worked and putting those together and putting those into a holistic medium and growing from that? That makes more sense, right? Instead of trying to put the latest and greatest thing in the mix, and it's just further diluting this concentration, right? It's just throwing in more more free radicals, more radical, more chaos, more... There's no solution. It's just something that's growing. Nothing's actually changing. When things can be catalyzed and done in a slightly different way, where the changes could be astronomical in the way they influence future psychosocial dynamics and whatever, but people are afraid to do things different, or again, they're just coerced financially into upholding and maintaining something that only serves those that are coerced or that fall into the realm of that. Diane Arbus began as a commercial and fashion photographer with her then husband Alan, but she was always more interested in the fringes. Wandering New York's morgues and forgotten corners, Arbus saw her light in the city's shadows. After separating from Alan, she made a name for herself, taking head-on photographs of ordinary people in the margins, the so-called ordinary freaks, outsiders, and society's castaways. She took her own life in 1972 and remains as controversial and influential now as she was in her lifetime. That's unfortunate. Let's pull another one so we're not going to leave on something so heavy. Okay. Because I think when those that are pushed to the fringes and the destitute and they're forgotten, I suppose, or when they're forced to carry the weight of it all, because it's hidden and suppressed and it's kept secret, right? Then they're almost forced to keep those secrets, or people will do some pretty terrible things to other people. You know, I mean, even unaliving people to uphold and maintain certain scenarios and situations, and I don't know, eventually the truth comes out, sooner or later it does, so, like, why not just figure out the solutions now instead of further complicating things until they ultimately catastrophize into, you know, one way or another things will balance themselves out and harmonize, as above so below, but anticipating the shift and the change. Be the art you wish to see in the world. Your work should not be selfish. Dress the part. Gilbert and Gilbert. Cultivating conscious co-created communities and culture has to do with being aware of that collective and being able to submit to the flow of the collective to harmonize things out and create that balance. But so many people, again, want to uphold these power structures and power systems. It's a synthetic power grid that requires the exploitation of an environment to fuel little cells in little pockets, as opposed to being in alignment with, like, the natural energies, because energy is all around us. I mean, it can't be created or destroyed. So how we access that energy and how we channel that energy and how we direct that energy, I mean, really, it's arbitrary. The value systems and the psychosocial systems and structures that we place around that. It's I don't know. I really admire and like people who dress their energy, I guess I should say, or how, I don't know, who are authentic in their expression. I like that part, because that comes out in a lot of different ways. Gilbert and George, we'll look at Gilbert and George, and I think we're going to close off this space. I'm going to go drink a big glass of water and just refuel myself and kind of recenter and ground myself in. Yeah, because we're about at the hour mark here, so that feels appropriate. Where are you, Gilbert and George? And thanks for jumping on here. If you do want to donate, I got a Venmo you can go to. or whatever, reach out to me for personal readings and one-on-one stuff. I usually do things by donation and whatever. Although I have perfect clients in mind, they'll show up when we're both ready. Yeah, it's clear, hey? Loud and clear up there. These two with their fingers in their mouths. Gilbert Proch and George Passmore have waved the banner of Art for All since their collaborative debut in 1967 with works addressing sex, religion, politics, and social taboos through an aesthetic of sometimes hallucinatory pop. Early works include living sculpture in which Gilbert and George painted themselves metallic and walked London streets. Today they're known for large grid-like paintings and are identified both by their trademark tailored suits and their birthday suits. They're often the nude subjects of their works. Gilbert and George have described their influences as everything from humanity to universal suffering. What is the meaning you're putting into it? Be very mindful, very careful of the meanings, the colors, shapes, sounds, symbols, frequencies, all of that you're putting into anything that you create. Where are you sourcing your energy from before you put that energy into something tangible? It was really important to know. It's got to be in alignment with nature, communication, flower energies, fairy energies, elemental messengers. But all of it speaks to things that are very specific that you go into co-creating this world outside of us, which is, quite disharmonic. There are solutions to problems far outside anything we think we know. We just have to open ourselves up to being receptive to those things. And it feels vulnerable, and it feels scary, and it feels all of that. That's fine. Transcend systems to find spirit. Go beyond. Transcend the system. Be aware of what's going on. Live, let live, all that sort of thing. But transcend it and connect to something bigger. Hear music through sight. Right? Get out of one sense and into another. Look at the synesthesia part of things. And even the other way around. If you're looking at something, what does it sound like to you? What does it smell like to you? Attribute other senses to things and begin to understand the world around you. And begin with a dot. Start with a point. Start with something concentrated. Anything else? I don't think so. Okay, that's fine. We are just going to clear out this energy, kind of ground and recenter everything. Take the opportunity to concentrate on our highest purpose, highest alignment, getting in alignment with it, with everything that is in the highest good of all of nature. Change to the night. You have changed quickly. Yes, these things can change quickly. Imagine if we were to all allow ourselves to change quickly, how quickly things outside of us would change, but the environment can go a little bit slower. That's fine. It doesn't need to be so catastrophic, right? There's no point in that. We can just slow that catastrophizing and that catastrophe down and go way back. Pull it way back to source, into that point of just grounded peace and harmony in that present moment, and detach from all of the emotional connections that we have to these situations in this material world around us, even for a second. Take all of that and then dump it all into the ether so that it can transmute itself, right? Get into alignment and feel and sense and reconnect. Anything else? That feels better, doesn't it? Feels a lot better than closing off this space rather rapidly. But thank you for coming back for part 2. You didn't see part 1. It is in the Facebook channel stuff. It's in the YouTube channel stuff. You can go back to either if you want, if it resonates, if you're called to it. Yeah, there's a lot more that I would like to talk about too. But I'm tired, and so I'm going to go fuel and go be in nature and go listen to water and go pet my cat and my dog. Take some deep breaths and eat something. Thanks for showing up. Have a good day. In that one, and then over here too.